The Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC, is the southernmost country in Central Africa, situated on the equator, with its main geographic feature being the Congo River, which has historically been the nation's primary means of transportation. The modern DRC was established in 1908 as a Belgian colony originally under the rule of King Leopold II. While under Belgian colonial rule, a policy of direct governance was used, ultimately using violence to rule and divide the population, leading to legacies of violence and unrest still present today. Many of the endemic issues to the DRC are the result of very low to extremely low levels of poverty, education, and healthcare, affecting a majority of the population. Incredibly low health standards in the DRC has added to the difficulty battling the current outbreak of Ebola and other dangerous infectious diseases like HIV. Our mission statement is that we are a nonprofit organization working to develop better infrastructure, educate the public about, and mitigate the spread of infectious diseases in the DRC and Central Africa. Our vision statement is that the people of the DRC will have a higher quality of life, general health, and infrastructure, ultimately leading to greater development in the DRC and Central Africa.
One of the greatest challenges the DRC faces today are their infrastructure. The Congo River acts as their main highway transporting goods and people, as there is no single railway or roadway that runs the length of the country, along with the fact most of the roadways are so damaged to travel upon. The two trade routes that allow access of the DRC to and from neighboring countries only connect a few cities in the south. Along with the fact the country still needs to have better connections within itself, the problem the people of the Congo face with the river is that it is not entirely navigable, meaning there are certain waterfalls that interfere with its course. The World Bank is one of the leaders working to improve the infrastructure in the country, consisting of a $147 million project known as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, electricity access and service expansion, which is working to improve the networks and helping the private sector improve their access to the electrical grid. This will allow people's ideas travel throughout the country more effectively through technology. Similarly, the African Development Group wants to invest $15 million into the feasibility of the Signa 3 project, which is to produce 400,000 megawatts of power on completion. Although it is helpful installing multiple power lines and allowing for faster communication with cell phones, in the case of an emergency, it will be much harder to get to the place when the roads are one of the biggest problems. While fixing the roads will require outside funding, the job itself will be able to offer cheap labor for the people in the country and neighboring countries. According to tradingeconomies.com, the unemployment rate in the Congo is expected to raise to 40%. So by instilling this project, people will also be able to have an opportunity to work. By fixing one main roadway, this will allow the people of the Congo to be able to travel from one place to the other more effectively, like transporting goods, as opposed to relying on a river. By making this one major roadway linking the big cities of the country, it will innovate it more so.
The next objective is the training of community health workers. Right now in the DRC, there are only 0.09 doctors and 1 nurse per every 1,000 people in the country. Drugs and other medical resources are not often available, and supervision is irregular and inadequate. In order to combat this issue, we will set up a training program that will train volunteer community health workers to be able to perform basic medical procedures and refer more complicated procedures off to health centers in the area. The program includes training and supportive supervision. They will have head nurses from the health centers in the DRC training with the volunteers and providing monthly supportive supervision. The community health workers are tasked to perform basic diagnostics and follow a standard treatment protocol for uncomplicated malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia, and refer severe cases to health centers. They also provide counseling to mothers and other family members with sick children so that they understand the key messages, including medicine prescribed and dosage instructions.
Our third objective is to educate the Congolese on protective and preventive measures that should be followed during an Ebola outbreak. According to Doctors Without Borders, the recent Ebola outbreak has reached very isolated areas of the DRC, and the current outbreak has been the most serious in the DRC since the disease was discovered. Our organization plans on completing this objective by reaching as many isolated areas as possible and talking with community leaders to teach them about preventive measures. We will equip community leaders with all the necessary tools for them to be able to talk to the rest of the community and educate them. We will print educational pamphlets with instructions on how to prevent others and themselves from getting Ebola. These pamphlets will be printed in 5 different languages. We will also verbally transmit the information to translators in the 5 languages recognized in the DRC. We will talk to the communities about the importance of letting doctors conduct proper testing and treatment. This is very important as some doctors are met with resistance, especially in the very different rural areas of the DRC. One of the risks of this objective is not being able to reach the very rural communities of the DRC. However, with the help of new infrastructure created through our organization, as well as partnerships, we will be able to reach those areas. Organizations such as Doctors Without Borders possess the means necessary of transportation to reach those rural areas. We will measure success of this objective by the amount of reporting being made about any possible outbreak and how many people are being brought to treatment centers to get checked out. This shows that people have been listening to our concern about bringing patients in, and we can also see how many people from a given community have been brought in. This let us see whether or not they have been following the preventive measures.
We believe health-related issues and issues related to infrastructure in the DRC are currently the greatest hindrance to its development, especially given the recent outbreak of Ebola in the state. With your grant money and working with other international non-profit groups, we believe we can significantly mitigate serious health problems and improve significantly upon general public health in the DRC. With better education for the public, as well as doctors and nurses, and funding infrastructure projects like building better roads and expanding electrical grids, containment of diseases like Ebola and HIV would be much faster and efficient. Overall health and standard of living in the DRC can be improved. Doing these development changes soon could save millions of lives and dollars in the long run.